Have you checked out all the new handicappers at WagerTalk? If not, here's your chance. You can take 50% off your first daily or 3-day all-access purchase at WagerTalk using coupon code TRYWT. Our new roster of experts is 30 deep, covering sports from all around the world, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem this offer is go to WagerTalk.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, and use coupon code TRYWT at checkout, saving 50% on your first purchase.
Hey guys, happy Friday and welcome into WagerTalk TV. This is Puck Time and I'm Andrew McGinnis. I have Carmine Bianca with me and Andy Lang joining us to break down all things props here today for this Friday NHL slate. Looking forward to breaking down 4 games, best bets at the end of the show. And well, Carm, for the most part, besides the New Jersey Devils, we've seen a lot of these teams that lost game 1 bounce back and take game 2. Yesterday, kind of the theme of the day and theme of the show was about not overreacting. And I think yesterday really proved that, as we saw in the Maple Leafs and Lightning series. We saw that in the Vegas Golden Knights and Winnipeg Jets series. Every game is a game of its own. What you saw in game 1 may not happen in game 2, and we certainly saw that. Carm, what were your impressions of last night?
Last night, the way things went. Overall, I went to watch the game with a few friends at Prez's place. He ordered in some food. The Leafs scored early, so that kept him calm. Then he would get pissed the whole night because I'm cheering for stuff that he doesn't like that I'm cheering for. I'm like, dude, I don't care what you're cheering for. I have 4 plays I bet. I have 4 plays for my clients. That's what I'm cheering for. And he would get pissed because I'm hoping for like Tampa goals. Just to get that game over the total. But it was a fun night. And yeah, the overreaction. Listen, if you're watching the games and you're not just looking at box scores the next day, I think if you're watching the games, you can get a feel for the way these series are going. And you take each and every game independently. Don't look at, I think with some games, you have to draw a line through them. I draw a line through the Toronto game because they played out of character in that first game. They're out coached. They have to go back to playing hockey and forget about the physicality of this series. You can still throw bodies around, but you shouldn't be running out there looking for bodies to hit. And they played more of an offensive game, and it worked out well. It also helps when you're missing 2 defensemen for Tampa Bay. So we'll see how this series goes. But again, if you're just a fan of the Leafs, you're all excited and you're like, the series is over in 5. Draw a line through game 2 and look at game 3 again as a completely different game. I love the way that some of these series are going, especially the Boston one. I think the most competitive series is the Edmonton Oilers LA Kings. I think that's going to be the most competitive series in the playoffs. I'm not sure what's wrong with the Devils. You said lack of experience, and it's showing. The Rangers are playing extremely well. Let's give the Rangers credit. But I'm loving the NHL playoffs thus far. 3-1 night for my clients, 12-4 start to the playoffs, and 4 more plays up tonight. So I'm looking forward to it, and a couple prop plays. And another guy who's very good with his props, Mr. Lang. How you doing, man?
Doing good. It was a a wild night in props. In NBA, Tobias Harris got a rebound with 1/10 of a second left in the game to go over his PRA. I've never had that happen where somebody cashes with 1/10 of a second left on the clock. Then to counteract that, we had Palat to not have a point. Devils score 1 goal. Of course, he has one of the assists on it. And then Andrew, your 5% play. Boy, you had a lot of people help you out with the reverse jinx on Twitter, ruling that play dead in the water in the first period, only to turn it around and cash it with ease. So congratulations on that one. But listen, I think you owe some of your Twitter followers a big thank you this morning because they helped with the reverse jinx early in that game for sure.
They certainly did for him. And I'll say this because I wanted to add it, but I didn't want to go on.
They were so classy
they're-
about it too.
Yeah. No, I know. Listen, it's the world we live in, guys. Like,
Yep.
guys get triggered. I follow my clients on Twitter so they can reply to my tweets. They can send me messages, and a lot of them do, like this morning as well, too, just asking questions about certain props and even props that I don't have up. They're bouncing them off me. Do you like this? Do you like that? That's fine. If you're a client of mine and I'm not following you on Twitter, just tweet out at me or something, or ask me to follow you, and I will. And you can send me messages. The funny thing is that people get triggered, and they're not clients. They are just people that are triggered because they cannot reply to you, and their only replies would be slander. Like, what world are you living in that you need to slander someone on Twitter? Like, get a life, man. Get a life. And they're triggered about it. And I find it amusing that they are. It's just I don't get it, man. It's like that tweet that goes out when the argument is lost, slander becomes the tool of the loser, and that's what it is. Twitter, unfortunately, is a cesspool. We need to use it to reach out to our clients, to tweet out stuff. But hey, listen, man, you want to be triggered? Go ahead, man. Like, if you can't say something to someone's face, you shouldn't say it to them behind a keyboard. It's the way it is. But we got four games to talk about. Andrew, the reverse jinx worked extremely well. Kelly uses it every once in a while for college football. I love when Kelly does it. She's like, it's halfway through the first quarter. She's like, well, this game's dead. It's just, she's got a whole game in front of her and she's calling her plays dead. The Kelly reverse jinx works fine. I've even watched Dave Koken used it once, where I remember in the third period, he's like, this NHL play is lost. I'm sorry to my followers. It'll be a miracle if this ever comes back. And his team came back and won the game. And Koken was fun, just happier than he's happier than a pig in mud. I loved it, man. It is, the reverse jinx, we all throw it out. If nothing else, you listen, want to get triggered, go ahead and get triggered. We show transparency on this show each and every day. When we lose, we come on the show and we talk about it. We don't even talk as much about when we win. We talk more about when we lose. And thankfully, those conversations are few and far between so far. So we'll see how the playoffs go. But, man, it's just, I'm enjoying the playoffs. And it has nothing to do with winning. I'm enjoying the playoffs because there are some really good series. This is the best sport. NHL playoffs is the best playoffs there are. I'm sorry. I am biased. It is what it is. So with that said, we had some really good games tonight, Andrew. I'm pumped.
We do.
I am pumped.
We do. I can tell. Carmen's had at least 3 cups of coffee already today. He's ready to go. He's fired up for the show. I'm pumped up, guys. My record turns to 7-2, rather low volume in the NHL, but with that 5% winner last night, it was my only wager across all sports. It was a sweaty one, and as a wise man named DJ Khaled once said, they don't want you to win. And a lot of people on Twitter didn't want me to win, but we won, and we cashed the ticket. We'll move on to tonight. Hurricanes, Islanders, Bruins, Panthers, Stars, Wild, Oilers, Kings. Let's start things off with our first game. We have the Islanders hosting the Hurricanes here. And this is a big one here. Obviously, Carolina up 2-0 in the series. The tables turn, switch to New York, and all of a sudden they become favorites, -120, Carolina +100. We're seeing a 5 as the total, but heavily shaded towards the over at -135. You want that under +115 there for you. If you want the puck line on the Islanders, that's +235. Now, Carm, I'm curious here because we see this happen all the time. And you always ask people, how much does home ice advantage matter for each team? And I've learned over the years, do not bet against the Carolina Hurricanes when they're playing at home. I've tried to warn people, and we saw them get it done. It might have been a lucky goal to tie it. They win the game in overtime, but they escape up 2-0 going into New York. Do you agree that New York should be favorites in this game, though?
Yes. Anything else? No, just yes. I do, Andrew. They should be favorites in this game. If this was a little different as far as you look like maybe the Florida Boston series, where Boston is the number one seed and they're favored on the road, it's a little different. But the Isles, this is a series that I think very well could go. It's going to go 5 games at the very least, because I think the Islanders are going to win at least one of the 2 games at home. They could win them both. The series for them hinges on tonight's game for them. So I'm not going to call it a must win, but for every Islander fan out there, it is a must win. You can't go down 3-0 in the series. You're not going to beat Carolina 4 straight, including 2 of those having to be in Carolina. The Isles are a good team. They don't get the scoring that they need. I still think Sorokin is a very good goalie. And I'm leaning to the Islanders in this one. It's going to actually be my best bet on the end of the show. Spoiler alert. But I think they get the game here. They played extremely well in game 2. Unfortunately, didn't get the win in OT, but they weren't embarrassed at all in Carolina. Two very good competitive games, and now they come home where they have home ice. They get the last change, which obviously is also very important. I think the Islanders are the play tonight. I think you have to take them in this one and lay the minimal juice on them. Now the total's at 5. You might see some 5.5 springing up. We had that stat up at the beginning of the playoffs where the most profitable prop, I'm going to mention this, the most profitable total in the NHL in the playoffs since 2018 has been a total of 5. It has gone over 59.7% of the time, 80, 54, and 52. The only other profitable one has been the 6.5 total, which is 54 and 44 for a hit rate of 55.1%. Every other total, 5.5, 6, and 7. If you've bet the over, you've lost money on every one of those overall. On if you've played every single 5.5, every single 6, every single 7 since 2018, you've lost money. So the over 5 is I would recommend looking at that play as well too. But for this show, I'm taking the Islanders and then throwing it over to Andy.
Well, yeah, you mentioned it. There's just not a lot of scoring, and we've done a really nice job in this series about playing some of these guys to not have a point. We were 3-0 in last game. That was a 4-3 game. I don't know how we escaped 3-0 in that game. We go 3-0 in that game when the score is 4-3, and then 0-1 last night in a game that only had 1 goal on the team that we bet against. But I'm going to go with Anders Lee. I'm going to keep riding this guy to not have a point. He's around minus 160. He has no points in the last 3 games against Carolina. He has 1 point in his last 9 games, and that was a goal in the last regular season game against Montreal, a non-playoff team. So this guy just doesn't put many points on the scoreboard. He did okay with shots in the first game. He had 4 of them, but none of them are getting in the goal. He's not getting any of these assists. I actually think minus 160 is still a pretty good price. We're 2-0 on him in this series to not have a point. We've seen some of these guys that just really struggle when the playoffs come. Their role is a little bit different. Maybe some of their minutes and shifts go down a little bit, getting the job done. This has been a fantastic bet towards the end of the season. So I'm going to keep riding it. Anders Lee to not have a point tonight.
I like those bets a lot, Andy, and I had some issues on Prop It Up, but I was trying to talk about the fact that you can make money betting on guys to not perform well. In a series like this especially, I mean, Carolina, in their games that they've won so far, they haven't really blown anybody out, right? Like you look at this series compared to some of the other series, it's been really defensive hockey, right? Capitalizing on chances and things. Even if you're a guy that likes Carolina, if you want to bet on Carolina players, and they've won the past 2 games, you can still cash tickets on their unders for points and shots because it's been very low event hockey games. And I know the game switches to New York, but let's be honest here. Sorokin is the backbone of this team. We're seeing a 5 here as the total. And I know that we have seen 5s do so well, but I'm actually convinced that I don't think Carolina or New York can compete against Carolina when they're trading goals. I think the best chance that New York has to win a game in this series is if they steal one with Sorokin having 35, 36 saves. So I'll actually go under 5 at plus 115. I think we're going to have to see a defensive game for them to shut down Carolina. I'd actually be tempted to look towards Carolina's team total under, and that way you can kind of get the full game under maybe out of the picture. But I think that that's really the way to go in this game. You look at the Islanders' offense, they've been struggling big time. And I just think that when they get back at home, their biggest focus is going to be defense and protecting their own end. So I'll look towards the under in this game. And I got to mention, guys, I mean, this Carolina team, for as good as they've been all year, they're without Max Pacioretty, who got injured in like his first game or two of the season, which is horrible to see. Andrei Svechnikov gets injured before the playoffs, and Tervo Teravainen breaks his hand last game, and he's now out pretty much for a few weeks. That's tough for this team, for the Carolina Hurricanes. Their offense is shot as well, so I do expect some defense in this game. Moving on towards the Boston Bruins and Florida Panthers. Andy, we saw the Florida Panthers bounce back after they lost game 1. They looked pretty strong in game 2. I feel like out of a lot of series, this is a really good prop betting series. What do you have for us in this one? Bruins minus 160 favorites.
Well, it's actually been a terrible series for me because I was on the Pasternak train, and it just hasn't happened on the shots on goal. He's had 2 in the last games, and his prop is 4.5. I got to be honest, not only am I laying off of Pasternak over, I may come back with the under tonight. I heard a really, really good interview with the Florida coach, and some of the local announcers were expanding on it. They basically said, we're just going to try and muddy up that Pasternak line. We're not going to do anything crazy. We're not going to really try and push the offense. We're going to try and control the ice in the middle. We're going to sit back on defense and try and prevent some shots. We're not going to try and make some mad dashes on offense on transition because we don't want to get beat on the other side. And so they were like, we're just going to sit back and try and really take out that Pasternak line, even if it means that our line doesn't do too much. And it's been effective, especially on Pasta. I mean, it's not like he's missing 4 or 5 shots each game. He missed 1 shot in game 1. He missed 2 in game 2. Even if all of those shots go on goal, he still goes under in both of those games. So I think, and I was on Florida about not having a very good defense. I still don't think their defense is good, but it's been an effective strategy. I'm not sure what Boston does to try and get that line going again, but the last game, Florida had a bunch of shots, but Sam Bennett had 7 of them. A lot of the other guys went under, like Kachuk and Verhaeghe and some of those other guys. I'm actually kind of a little bit confused on this series. I thought I would have a good read on this series. I have not. I'm probably going to stay away from it. If I am looking at anybody on Florida to go over, I might go back to a Forsling. But honestly, I'm looking at this Boston Bruins, and I may be on Pasta on the under. That's a phrase I never thought I would say in the playoffs.
Well, Andy, I never thought you would say it either, to be honest with you. I know you like betting on him, so I never thought I'd hear you say that. But what's great about this Boston Bruins team and what's gotten them to where they are today is that it's not just those top guys that do the scoring. And I think we can all agree that last year, that was really the difference in their team compared to this season, was that it was just the top line guys. And now you look towards the deeper parts of the lineup, and those guys are contributing a hell of a lot more than they were last year. So lots of talk about Boston today, though, Carm, bouncing back after that tough performance. I'm not sure if I see much of a home ice advantage besides the last change in Florida. But what do you think here in Game 3, Carm?
I can't believe Andy came on the show and just totally disrespected Pasta. Andy, come on, man. I love Pasta. In that game, I'm watching the power play, and it's like Pasternak shoots wide. Pasternak shoots wide again. Pasternak shoots wide. He already had 2 shots on goal. If he hits the net, and he's going to be on the power plays, and I'm expecting to see some power plays tonight. I wouldn't mind taking, I haven't loaded it as a client play. I may bet it. It just depends on it because it's always at 4.5. But I wouldn't give anyone, I wouldn't blame anyone for wanting to take the pasta over shots on goal. Because if you look at, go on to like even like something like Hockey Reference and just click on game logs for Pasternak and look at his last 10 games and how many times he's gone over that number of 4.5. I think tonight's going to be a game that that mirrors game 2 more than mirrors game 1. I think there's going to be a lot more open ice tonight. I think there's going to be some scoring in this game, and which is why I like the total. The total's sitting here at 6 instead of 6.5. And there's a possibility that this total throughout the day could actually hit 6.5. So I would take it now because there's such a big difference between the 6 and 6.5. Of course, there's so many ways to get there with the 6 as opposed to the 6.5. You know, the 3-2s with an empty netter, you get at least, at the very least, a push. But the 3-3s obviously get you a win. I think the Bruins bounce back here. They were the best team all season long. I don't think they're going to get upset in this series. And I think if they win game 3, they're going to win game 4 and close it out at home in game 5. Instead of the Leafs in 5 tweets that are out there, Bruins in 5, I like a little bit better. I'm not playing Bruins in 5, but it wouldn't surprise me Bruins in 5. So I'm going to take the over in this game and look at different ways of playing the Bruins, including their team totals, which I don't have in front of me right now, but I'd probably look at the Bruins team total of over 3.5 as well, too.
I can get that for you right now, Carm. That's plus 100. Plus 100 for the Bruins team total over 3.5 goals there on that one. And I'm with you on the full game over. Yeah,
give me the money.
Hey, I'm with you.
Sorry, I'm
with you.
So much caffeine.
I like the full game over in this game, and I love when that Andy just brought up a coach's quote and things from the Florida Panthers coach. But as we all know, in handicapping, what a coach wants doesn't always happen, and what they hope to happen doesn't always go on the court or on the ice. And I think that Florida wants to play a tight game. They want to try and shut down the top 6 of Boston. But I think that you guys saw how the game ended in Boston game 2. There was a lot of smack talk, a lot of scrums after the whistle, a near line brawl, if you will. This is a physical series that I think will start with open ice right away, lots of chances. And I was talking earlier on the prop show about how you can bet power play points. You can get Brad Marchand at around plus 225 at some books to get a power play point. And, looking around the board at some of these guys, their odds, it's just so good. But looking at Florida, Sam Bennett, he returns to the lineup last game and immediately makes an impact. He might be on my list for props tonight, whether it's shots on goal or it's an assist. He's someone that's a veteran. He's someone that's, everybody wanted him back on the team, and he's healthy, made an impact right away. But I'm with Carm. I see goals in this game. I think it's going to be an exciting one from start to finish. I think we can see both teams contribute to the score. But I'm picturing somewhere along the lines of a 5-3 game here for Boston. That's my score prediction. Lock it in. Sprinkle it. 5-3 Bruins here. Give me the over in this game. It's funny, guys, because we always talk about with a series. I've been saying that, when I was younger, for playoffs, they used to always start higher scoring and get lower scoring as the season moves on. Now it's kind of the opposite. They almost start lower scoring, and as the series moves on, they get a higher scoring as the ice opens up and there's more physicality leading to penalties and power plays and desperation, empty net goals, all that good stuff. And as Carmine said, make sure you're getting the 6. I know we always say shop around, but you want to get that 6 right now. It's a good number to have compared to that 6.5, and get it while you still can. Moving on to game 3, Dallas Stars, Minnesota Wild. What a response it was from Dallas, Carm. You got a feel for Marc-Andre Fleury, but you have to assume Gus will be back in net tonight for Minnesota. What do you think here? Does the total fly over the total again, or do we see another low-scoring game like predicted in this series?
Again, we are going to go back to the overreaction thing. I'm going to sound like a broken record player, and record player, because I'm that old that I still have one. I'm looking at staring at it across the room. Guys, listen, a ton of goals. I don't get what what Minnesota did with alternating their goalies. I get it; they did it all season long, but putting Fleury in there, I think was a bad move. It's going to be Gustafsson in goal tonight, and just draw a line through that. That game, it's just an outlier of a game. I don't think you're going to see a high-scoring game like that again in this series or anything close to that. I think it goes back to Minnesota. It's another. Minnesota was such a great under team this year, and we know how Dallas plays on the road. And you look at some of those games that they played last year in that 7-game series against the Calgary Flames. It was defense that led the way. I think we see a defensive effort tonight, and we're saving about 15 or 20 cents in juice because of game 2 and how that game was a high-scoring game. Or this game would be 5.5 minus 135, minus 140 on the under. Now you're getting at 115, 120. I think the under is still the play here. In all honesty, I don't know how this game is going to play out, and I might take the approach that I told you guys I was going to do it, where I take whoever wins whoever loses game 3, and I'm going to take him in game 4. It's not so much a zigzag thing because that isn't really a betting tool. It's just that I see this series going 6 or 7 games, and I just don't see Dallas going to Minnesota and winning both, or Minnesota going home and winning both games. I think they're going to split these 2 games and head back to Dallas, and then it's a one-off series where it just goes back and forth, home and away, for the next 3 games. This is going to be a long series. I will take the game 3 loser. It'll be on my card in game 4 because the juice is going to be minimal on it and it's going to be playable. But the under is the play as far as today's show. Mr. Lang, are you with me or are you against me?
Yeah, I see what you're doing there. Yeah, last game was so weird. Poor Marc-Andre Fleury. That one goal that he let in, where you could tell he was just so confused and had given up. He tried. It was like he tried to lay down and block it. Poor guy. But this is a series I've been cashing on. I like this series a lot. I think you can go back to Jason Robertson, over 3.5 shots on goal. He's had 7 and 4 in this series. He went 2-2 over this in the regular season. And there you just see that there's the stars are kind of shining in this series with some of the props. So Jason Robertson's a good one. I already have one client play uploaded. There will be another one uploaded here later this afternoon. So a lot of good plays in that one. I'm not too worried about some of the props and things that didn't hit on Minnesota's side. I actually think it's a good time to come back on someone like Kaprizov, who, lit it up with shots in the first game. And then the second game, by the end of the game, he was more interested in fighting than he was shooting. So I like Robertson over there. And, when we have these close games and low scoring, a lot of times it just means that there's a lot of shots being stopped. So I don't think you have to worry about shots on goal props with some of these guys that fire away quite a bit. So I would keep looking at Robertson, Kaprizov, and some of these guys.
I think this series is a great series to look at guys like that. They're shooting the puck a lot. There's not much ice out there, so when they get an opportunity, they are firing it on net. And players like that, they have the green light. I mean, let's be honest here. Kaprizov is not a pass-first player. He is a shoot the puck any possible time he can kind of player. So I definitely agree with Kaprizov here in this one, especially with them looking to bounce back. But guys, I'm on the over here, over 5.5. I look at last game. I mean, I'm really paying a lot of attention to the penalties and power plays. And maybe I could be overreacting, but I see the Stars get 6 power plays. The Minnesota Wild get 5. I mean, combined between both teams getting 11 opportunities with the man advantage, let alone with all the talent on the ice, 5-on-5 for these two teams. I think that leads to goals. If this series remains as aggressive, as physical as it has been so far, I think we're going to continue to see goals here. And as we keep talking about, and the joke on the show, don't really care who wins this one, guys. I am rooting for Dallas in the series, but I'm just looking for goals here. I understand Marc-Andre Fleury had a bad game, but I do look at the amount of power plays that Dallas got, and I think Gustafsson might have let in 1 or 2 of those goals as well. 6 power play opportunities for Dallas, not really something you want to do when you've got as many guys like Rupe Hintz and Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin and Jason Robertson out there not really a good thing you want to do is give them that many chances on the power play. But I'll take the over 5.5 in this game, and a game that does feature two good goaltenders, but it's getting physical. I expect lots of power plays, and that plays a big part into my handicap in this game. So hoping for some high scoring games here. And at least for Dallas, I'll say that. But overall, over 5.5 for me.
Andrew, I love the fact that you and I are going like mano a mano in this game. You like the over, I like the under. Andy's completely on props, so he's not going to break the tie in this one. And we'll see what happens at the end of the night. But it's great that we just don't have a show where like three of us are just patting each other on the back and all agreeing on the same play. Like those are probably quite possibly the most boring shows there are, right? So, and I like the fact that you just go ahead and take the over instead of starting with I'm going to disagree with Carmine on this one, and I'm going to go with the over and what have you. But listen, we're seeing some great NHL series thus far. So I'm just hoping the better, what's great about these series that they're tied at 1-1 is that we're getting more games. All the better if they're tied at 2-2, because we're going to get to see 6 games in the first round at the very least from some of these series. Remember, 5 of last year's 8 opening round series win 7 games. So it would be great to see there's nothing better than Game 7 hockey that goes to overtime.
I would love it. And yeah, Carm, I mean, there's just no need to mention that we're disagreeing. The viewers will just know. So I feel like it's a waste of time for us to Carm, I'm on the other side. That's not really, and I don't really want to be against you. You've had a kick-ass season. You're doing unreal. I don't really want to be on the other side, but
you've
Andy,
had a good start to the playoffs. Whatever.
Don't
let me have to compliment you.
All right, Andy, what do you have for us in the Oilers and Kings game? Obviously, this one is a fun one to watch. Lots of talent out there on the ice, and it switches over to LA as the Kings are at home now, and they're plus 130 underdogs. What do you have for us, Andy?
Well, there's a few ways that you can go about looking at this one. I got to be honest. I thought that I thought that I would go a certain direction with the series when it started, and I've been a little bit confused by it. So, you know what happens when we don't really know what we're going to do with some of these props? We do a same game parlay. Hit it, Dan.
It's time for Andy's Don't Play This Same Game Parlay.
We're back. Let's do a same game parlay for the Edmonton Oilers and Los Angeles Kings. Someone in the chat asked about it, and I had actually been kind of dabbling with this one. So, all right, let's go ahead and start off with we're going to start off with the Edmonton Oilers to score over 1.5 goals on their team total. It's such an explosive offense. They've had 4 and 3 goals, so all I need for them is to get 2 goals in this one, and I think they can get that relatively easy. I'm also going to take the Oilers on the puck line plus 1.5. I'm going to add that to the parlay. I'd like Edmonton to win this series. They obviously won game 2. They lost in overtime, so we covered that one. It wouldn't surprise me if they win this game outright, but I like getting that plus 1.5. And then I'm going to go under 2.5 total goals in the first period. Edmonton has scored 2 goals in the first period in each of the first 2 games. Kings have not scored any. I don't know if I expect the Oilers to keep that pace up, that they're going to be scoring multiple goals in the first period, and the Kings have gotten off to slow starts and have kind of been playing a little bit of catch-up. So I can play all these, and it comes out to minus 130. So I'll take the Edmonton team total over 1.5. I'll take Edmonton on the puck line plus 1.5. I'll take the first period under 2.5 goals. That is your Don't Play This Same Game Parlay.
Well, Andy, I'm going to break the rules, and I actually am going to play that, and hopefully I cash that ticket with you. So I like that one, and I think it's cool. You mentioned before, if you add an under in, it helps out with those odds. So taking that first period adjusted under gives you those good odds with the plus 1.5 and the team total over 1.5. So, Carm, what do you think here in game 3?
I like it as well too. I'm going to take my $3 of profit in soccer, Andy, and I'm going to put it on that same game parlay. You know what I'm talking about, man. Listen, I have a saying that says, "Try and be a better version of yourself each and every day." So, Andy, with that message you sent me earlier, you failed, but tomorrow is a new day. I love you, brother. I cut his mic off before before he
I
laughs
was
too
happy
much.
for I was happy for you on winning your bet last night, even though I lost mine. I even made it a point to send you a positive message.
It's all good. First of all, I wanted to message. I sent it out in the live chat. Bergeron is not at the morning skate for the Boston Bruins this morning. It wouldn't affect me on the game anyways, because I think the Bruins can win that game without Bergeron, and and that was cooked into him not playing. It was cooked into the line already, so I don't see that line changing much for the Boston Bruins. And I'm looking at it right now, and it really hasn't changed. It's been at 155 to 160 with a couple of places at like Bet Online on our WagerTalk live lines at minus 149 along with Circa. But if you people want to overreact and you want to grab a better price on the Bruins, I would say probably grab it. Now, Andrew, with regards to this game tonight, I'm looking for the Oilers. It's not on my card as of yet. It might go on my card as a smaller play, but I'm looking at the Oilers to flip home ice back to Edmonton. This is a series last year that was a tough one. It wins 7 games, and the Oilers were down 3-2 in that one. Won the last 2 in the series to take it and move on to the next round. I think the Oilers are going to win this series ultimately. I took them after game 1 to win the series at minus 130. They were, I think, minus 240 or minus 250 to win the series. Prior to that, I got the better price. They're going to win one of these 2 games in LA. I'm not quite sure if they're going to win both games. I don't think they're going to lose both games, because this might be like the Dallas Minnesota game where you take the loser of game 3 and take them in game 4, because I think it's going to be at least a 6-game series. But I think the Oilers flipped the series back. Listen, they should be up 2-0 in this series. They played 2 fantastic games. And I mentioned again, Evan Bouchard takes that penalty at the end of the 3rd period. They go 6-on-4 power play for LA that sends it to overtime, and then another bad penalty in overtime and gives LA the win with a power play goal. They played nearly a flawless 60 minutes. They should be up 2-0 in this series. I think they'll be up 2-1 after tonight's game. So give me the Oilers.
You know what I look like? You talked about this team. I don't even think has played their best hockey yet. Honestly, that's the thing. I don't think the Oilers have played their best game in the series yet. And here we are, heading back to LA, tied 1-1. And there's a certain player I can't quite put my finger on it that hasn't really played very well yet. Oh yeah, the best guy in the world at the game of hockey, Connor McDavid. I mean, this is the thing about this Oilers team compared to many years ago. They actually have depth for the first time in a long time with Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl. They've got defensemen scoring goals. They've got so much going on for them that they can do well in games without McDavid even doing a thing on the score sheet, which I think is huge for this team. I think they will get it done. I'm going to take them and their team total over 3.5 goals. We saw, 37 shots on goal for the Oilers in game 2. I can't really see where that changes in game 3. Only 24 shots for the Kings, but a lot of those weren't very dangerous. I was very impressed with the Oilers' performance. It might have been a little shaky in the second period, but they're a team that I want my money on tonight. And talk about getting that home ice back, Carm. As much as I don't think the players think about that, they know that, hey, LA stole game 1 from us in our house. We want to take game 1 and suck the crowd out of it in their house. So I think it's a big one. And guys, it might be a bit chalky. It might be a bit, as some people call, square. I'm taking McDavid over 1.5 points tonight. He's been far too quiet in this series. Give me McDavid to have a big game here tonight, guys.
I like it. Yes, incoming square play, dude. I was about to say it is just, with some of the plays, and I think I did it in game 2 where the Prez was on the show. I'm like, I'm just going to take the Edmonton and the over. Call me Square Boy, and then Prez replies, "Hey, Square Boy." So I'm not calling you a square, Andrew. But listen, since March 1st, I mentioned it. They are 19-3-1. The Oilers are 19-3-1 since March 1st. The best record in the NHL, which includes the Boston Bruins, 1-1 in the playoffs. And I honestly believe that they should be 2-0. So we talk about overreaction or not reacting. If you watch the 2 Edmonton games, you would have to agree they should be up 2-0 in this series. And this isn't a slight on the LA Kings and you King fans out there, but Edmonton has played better in both games, and unfortunately, they've come away, 1-1 in this series. So, Oilers tonight, come on, let's get it done.
Let's go Oilers. Andy, what do you have for us going on this weekend at WagerTalk.com? We'll talk about the Weekend Warrior promo, which is a great one going on right now at WagerTalk. Good opportunity to get a great price for 3 days, and I know that you have lots of stuff going on this weekend. Tell us about it.
Yeah, the Weekend Warrior promos, perfect for me this weekend. Use the promo code WW20. Get you $20 off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We have 2 5% plays that happen to be going on Saturday. One is in the UFC. One is in soccer. We are 4-0 lifetime in 5% soccer plays. Number 1 last 365 days. Number 1 2023. And UFC, we're 69% on our 4% and 5% best bets. So we're having a really good run on these plays. So as you get those 2, we have 2 4% lacrosse plays that are up. We're 5-2 in lacrosse this season on those. And then you're going to get NBA, NHL, MLB. I don't know if there's going to be any tennis plays, but there's going to be a little bit of everything. We're having a great year, plus 73 units so far. 9-6 the last 2 nights in NBA and NHL combined. So keep cashing. Just use that promo code. It is a smoking deal to get the entire weekend for $39.
And your best bet, Andy?
Let's do Bo Horvat to not have a point. So, I mean, this guy just is not really getting it done, and he's especially not getting it done against playoff teams. So since he's joined this team, he has had 13 points in 32 games. He only has 2 games since February 28th with a point against a playoff team. So this is now 3 games against this Carolina team. He just doesn't have a point. He's got 6 shots, so he's gone under his 2.5 shots. He still doesn't have a point, and we're still getting this minus 120 number. So I know they're going to be at home, but he's just not getting it done. I've been really hot with these players to not have a point in this series. I'll keep riding it. Horvat's at a great price to not have a point, as he's just not getting it done against these best teams.
If there's a series to bet someone not to get a point, I think you found the right series to do that. Best luck, Andy. Good to see you. And happy to actually be able to have some conversation with you on this show compared to the last show we were just doing together. So nice to be able to chat with you, Andy. Carm, what do you have for us this weekend?
I love chatting with Andy as well, too, when he's not making fun of me. But as far as I got a couple soccer plays up today, I have 4 plays up in the NHL. We're going to try and keep that run going. It's been a great NHL so far. This is a couple plays and a couple props on tonight's game. I may or may not add some additional plays. I don't want to go too crazy, but it's going to be a big weekend. And I'm heading to New York City this weekend. I will be in NYC on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I may be going to the Islanders and Carolina Hurricanes game Sunday at 1 p.m., provided that the Islanders win tonight, because I want to be able to see. I don't want to see a sweep on the ice. I want to see a competitive series. But 4 plays up in hockey, 2 plays up in soccer today. That Weekend Warrior is a great deal. WW20, and you get 3 days of plays for only $39. I'm going to have a lot of cards up, so that's a great deal. My show best bet is the Islanders game. I am going to take the New York Islanders. They're minus 120 or 125, wherever. Whatever your book has, but I'm going to take the Islanders. I think they get back into this series. They played extremely well in both games. didn't get the wins. And we saw what the Carolina Hurricanes did in the playoffs last year. They would win 2 on the road, and they win 2 at home, and then lose 2 on the road. And it was like rinse and repeat every single series for them. So I'll look for them to lose this one, Game 3 on the road. New York Islanders is the play as your show best bet. Guys, have a fantastic weekend.
Carm, safe travels, man. Have a great time, and keep that run going. Guys, for me, I'm on a 7-2 start to the NHL playoffs, keeping it very low volume with just 1 play last night. Looking like 1 or maybe 2 plays for tonight. I got a good UFC card going for tomorrow night, and a baseball play, 3% baseball play going this evening as well. My best bet's going to be the over in the Dallas and Minnesota game at 5.5, getting plus money on that one. We saw so many power play opportunities, so much physicality, some dirty hits in there, and a lot of talent on the ice between these two clubs as the series switches to Minnesota. I think we still start seeing some goals here. I do not believe that Minnesota is going to be able to contain Dallas. And as great goaltending as we're seeing between Ottinger and Gustafsson, I think we could see this series break out again and see some goals here. So get me 6 goals here, over 5.5, Dallas, Minnesota for my best bet on the show. We've got Andy looking at Bo Horvat to not get a point. Make that very clear, to not have a point. Carmine has the Islanders on the money line, and I have Dallas, Minnesota over 5.5. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
Have you checked out all the new handicappers at WagerTalk? If not, here's your chance. You can take 50% off your first daily or 3-day all-access purchase at WagerTalk using coupon code TRYWT. Our new roster of experts is 30 deep, covering sports from all around the world, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem this offer is go to WagerTalk.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, and use coupon code TRYWT at checkout, saving 50% on your first purchase.